Welcome to Magic Beyond the Books. Today we're talking about Winky the House-elf. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Renee. Warning, there are Harry Potter spoilers for all the books in this episode. Do you want to give a character summary?
Yes. So Winky is the house elf to the Crouch family, and she's a friend of Dobby's as well. She's introduced to us in book 4 at the Quidditch World Cup, and Winky is a key part of the plot of book 4, but unfortunately she is completely left out of the movies.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember too, if she was in any of the other books specifically mentioned, or making a physical appearance. She's mentioned a couple times, but she's really only in the 4th book as far as when we see her.
I heard that she's a part of the at Hogwarts, so is she a part of the last book, do you think, mentioned?
She is canonically a part of the Battle of Hogwarts, but I think that's more like J.K. Rowling has confirmed that. It's not, it just says in the House Elves of Hogwarts. It doesn't specifically say oh, and Winky was running or doing this.
Yeah, I hear you.
But before we get too far deep the rabbit hole with Winky, let's do our listener question of the week. Okay, listener question of the week. Harry claims to be right-handed when Ollivander asks for his wand hand, but in some of the book covers he holds his wand in his left hand. Is Harry right-handed or left-handed? So going through the books 1, 2, 3, and 7, there's no wand in his hand. But the books that he is holding his wand in his hand on the cover are 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6, it's always in his left hand, though he says that he's right-handed. So what do we think about this?
Yeah, and I was thinking in the cover of the first book, he's catching the golden snitch with his left hand, too, indicating that he's left-handed.
Yeah, that's true. He's holding on to the broom with his right hand and catching, reaching up for the snitch with his left, which you would think if you're right-handed, you're going to be reaching to catch a ball with your right hand.
Yeah. So that's very interesting that it's so consistent in the book covers that he's left-handed. That just seems like such an interesting detail to get wrong.
Yeah, so maybe it's wrong. Maybe he was right-handed and then he became left-handed. Is he ambidextrous?
I'd like to think that he's left-handed because I think that left-handed people have special powers because I'm left-handed. Every time people find out I'm left-handed, they're like, whoa, it is I feel like I'm Harry Potter in that moment to them.
Yeah, that's how much of a reaction they have.
I'm not joking. People really are really shocked to find that out.
It is way less common. I'm looking it up. A quick Google search says that approximately 10% of the general population is left-handed.
Yeah.
And yet a disproportionately higher percentage of left-handers is observed among athletes in various professional sports, including combat sports and interactive ball games. This overrepresentation is generally considered evidence of a performance advantage.
That's so interesting because that would make a lot of sense for him to be left-handed.
If he's extra powerful, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, he has special. Yeah, he's extra powerful. Yeah.
To be fair, when Ollivander asks him, which is your wand arm, he says, well, I'm right-handed.
And that's the only mention that we have of that him being right-handed?
I think so. But what I'm saying is this is the beginning. Maybe he's right-handed, but he uses his wand in his left hand. That would be weird.
I think it's just an inconsistency in how the illustrator did things versus what was facts.
Yeah, so tell us what you find on the internet or what you personally think as the listener. Is he right-handed? Is he left-handed? Is it an inconsistency? Does he switch hands depending on what he's doing? The world may never know.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into Winky. So we'll start with Winky's timeline. I mean, that's pretty much the main part of this episode, and then we'll kind of talk about a little discussion and theories. But so Winky must have been born around 1981 or earlier, probably before then. She was born into service into the Crouch family. So her mother and her grandmother served the family before her. So all she's ever known is being the house elf for this one family. And she cared for the 3 Crouch family members that we know of. I mean, maybe possibly, I don't know. I don't know what the house elf lifespan is if she cared for ones before them, but the ones we definitely know of are the main Crouch family. So Barty Crouch Senior, Barty Crouch Junior, and his wife, which I forget if we got her name. So Mrs. Crouch, Mr. Crouch, and then their son. So she cares for them while like Mr. Crouch is moving through the ministry. Obviously, he seems to share a lot of information with her because she knows like who Ludo Bagman is. She knows what's her face, Bertha Jorkins. She knows of all these different witches and wizards that he interacts with through his job. But the key part of the story is during the Harry Potter, or I guess not during the Harry Potter time, before the Harry Potter time, but we hear about this during the Harry Potter time. The father sent his son to Azkaban. So I'm just going to call him Senior and Junior throughout this because I don't want to say Barty Crouch Junior, Barty Crouch, or Bartemius Crouch Junior and Senior all the time. So Senior sent his son to prison, and then the wife begged him to like switch places with the son. And I guess she was dying anyway. I think she had a terminal illness, or maybe she was dying of heartbreak from her son's betrayal. But they switch, the mother and the son switch. So then Junior is home, and it's Winky's responsibility to take care of him and keep him hidden. And this is like the crux of the whole like plot of book 4, is that he's actually still alive and he didn't die in prison.
Yeah, that sounds like classic boy mom behavior to me. You know, the concept that moms of boys like kind of sometimes coddle their sons and let them get away with things. That's exactly her.
Yeah. And the father seems like the opposite. It seems like he was not very involved in his son's life and probably had a really high expectations of him that didn't exactly pan out when he ends up being caught with the other Death Eaters. He was brought in on Death Eater activity, like along with Bellatrix and her husband and her Bellatrix's brother-in-law. It's from when you watch the trial, which Harry gets that flashback, he seems like he could be innocent and he's really young. But then by the end of all of this, when we see him later, he seems like truly evil, like full throttle, all about Voldemort.
Oh, definitely. Something happened to that man along the way.
Yeah, for sure. But as far as him with Winky, so he was kept at home by his father under an invisibility cloak and imperious all the time. So he's like alive, but just being constantly controlled and hidden. And then Winky is responsible for caring for him because obviously Senior is like going to work and has other like responsibilities that he's busy with. This is weird because Winky seems to have this real fondness for the son and tries to encourage Mr. Crouch to like reward him for positive behavior. But I feel like, I don't know, Winky confuses me kind of as a character. And I guess maybe I should say it now. I just feel like Winky is not my favorite character. And her, joining along with this activity feels a little bit crazy to me. Like, there was no part of her that thought like, hey, this is kind of fucked up.
Really? I like Winky because I also feel bad for her. I think her stories feels pretty tragic to me. But I kind of think she's just so brainwashed by what is expected of house elves. And I looked it up, and they can live for hundreds of years. So, Creature lived to the age of, this is a crazy number, 666.
Oh my gosh, creature.
Such a, specific number. But in the books they kind of describe her as being like so loyal to the family and that a part of her job was to look after Junior. And it just kind of it makes sense to me because we'll get into this later, but she can't even imagine a life outside of servitude to this family. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
her whole life. That's what her whole life's purpose is. So to me, I just feel bad for her. I guess that's my take.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's yeah, and yeah, I feel bad for her as well, and I do think that her story is very tragic. I guess it's confusing where the line is. She's so loyal to this family. So, if you're a house elf and you're loyal to a family, how do you feel when one family member is hurting another family member that you're also loyal to?
I don't know.
Like,
Yeah.
where's the line there? Like, because I would think that I know she calls Senior her master, but Junior is kind of also her master. Like, she serves the whole family.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would think that she's going to be more loyal to Junior just because she's tasked with looking after him.
Hmm.
But that is like an interesting concept of where's the hierarchy within the family with house elves? Like if there's conflicting goals, I guess, within the family.
Yeah, like let's say you say that it's like the oldest family member, but then you've got to have like grandparents that are getting older. Like when does that like line of authority pass down? Or if different family members give you different commands, who are you supposed to like follow?
Yeah, that's an interesting like thought to follow. I almost To me, it almost feels like they have a magical compulsion to follow any orders, but I wonder if there is kind of yeah, if there is a hierarchy of who they're supposed to follow, like who they're kind of compelled to follow the most.
So Winky's taking care of Junior in the home, and then one day Bertha Jorkins comes by to drop off some papers for Senior, and Winky has her wait in the front room and then goes back, and Winky's talking to Junior. And basically, through what's being said, and we know Bertha Jorkins is like a snoop, Bertha is able to kind of figure out that, like, who Winky's talking to, right? Like, from the context of it. And so Bertha Jorkins approaches Barty Crouch Senior, and it's like, what the heck? Like, your son isn't dead, and he's not in prison either. And he erases her memory. So, and this also like causes some permanent damage with her memory in the future. And this is also like, I feel kind of like Bertha Jorkins, like, you should have just held on to this information and left the house and went to the ministry with this, because then this whole thing would have been solved and like Mr. Crouch would have been arrested and everything. But
I know, why would you confront this powerful man about it instead of just going to the ministry?
yeah, she's so dumb. But then time passes and no one knows their secret. And this is where we get to Harry Potter book 4 timeline. So in 1994, they have the Quidditch World Cup, and Winky spends a year convincing Senior to reward his son for all of his quote unquote good behavior. I think Winky is a little bit delusional here with like the son being on good behavior, like he's being constantly controlled, but okay. She convinces him to the father to allow the son to attend the World Cup. And their whole plan was she's going to go to the top box, pretend that she's saving a seat for Senior, and then, Junior is going to sit by her under the invisibility cloak, and he's still like imperious. The only problem with this plan is Junior has started, after all these years of being constantly under the imperious curse, he's started to fight it. Like he has moments where he can get out of it and kind of control his actions. So while he's in the top box, he steals Harry's wand. And that's going to come back later. Dun, dun, dun. So the game ends and they're in the tent. And Winky is told to stay in the tent with Junior while Senior goes and investigates the disruption with the people, the muggles and the people in masks. But she leaves the tent with Junior because Junior's like trying to go and stop these people, or was upset that these Death Eaters that weren't loyal to Voldemort are out parading around. So Winky leaves, and this is what I mean, where it's like he gave her direct command and she was still able to leave the tent.
Yeah, that's interesting. So she has some form of free will, somewhat.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's like self-preservation. I don't know, when it like gets down to it, if you're like in a dangerous situation, can you, like, as a house elf, break rules? But she leaves with him. She basically magically binds them together and then like physically like pulls him with her into the forest. And this is where the trio, Harry, Ron, Hermione, they see her like walking like she's labored walking. Obviously, they don't see him under the cloak, but this was our little like hint that she's going through this, there's something more happening. She's not just putzing around. And she gets him in the forest, but he struggles, and then he decides to fire off the dark mark into the air as a little like warning, threat, whatever you call it, to the other, like, what he sees as like phony Death Eaters that are off parading around, when, like, if they were loyal to Voldemort like he is, they would have tried to get back to him instead of, pulling these stunts. The Ministry obviously appears immediately at this spot. They fire off stunning spells, and both Junior and Winky get stunned. And then there's this whole questioning, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are there, and Winky is found with Harry's wand, and they do that little Priori Incantatem spell and find that that is the one that casts the dark mark. Again, here's a moment where it's like Winky, I guess this is like showing her undying loyalty to this family, that she's not going to blame Junior for this.
Do house elves even have the training or ability to cast spells?
From this scene, it seems like no. I don't know. It's like hard to know. They have their own magic and they don't need wands for it. So it's a little bit confusing. Like, if they do acquire a wand, can they just use it like a normal wizard?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think it was motivated by just that it made Senior look bad. Um, so we kind of like had to let her go basically because of that. Because
Yeah.
she looked guilty.
Yeah. And he walks around in the forest, and he Mr. Crouch alone has the full details of the story. He knows, like, he goes out in the forest and he sees where the body under the invisibility cloak of his son is. He can like put two and two together that his son must have done it. But I think on his part, not only does it make him look bad, but he blames Winky for not like keeping control of the situation.
Yeah, that's very true.
Winky is obviously unhappy about this. She gets freed. She's given a little like dress her size, and we don't see her for a little while until later the trio discovers her in the Hogwarts kitchens. But Winky gets a job at Hogwarts through Dobby. So Dobby is a free elf at this point, and then he finds Winky and learns that she's also free. I mean, they were friends before, but he then goes to Hogwarts, asks Dumbledore for a job for both of them, and gets them employed there. Obviously, Winky refuses pay, but Dobby is getting paid for his work at Hogwarts.
I thought that I read that house elves don't get paid for working in Hogwarts.
They don't, but Dobby made a deal with Dumbledore to get paid and get days off. I think he gets one day off a week, and I forget how much he gets paid. Like, Dobby specifically is getting paid by Dumbledore. The rest of the elves and Winky aren't getting paid.
That is crazy to me that Dumbledore would be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, Dobby is really an icon for this. I feel like this is Capricorn behavior. Like, it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing, get that raise, ask for what you deserve. Like,
I know, seriously.
um, but while Dobby is on the up and up, Winky is spiraling down. She gets into a depression. She starts drinking butterbeer, which is I still to this day don't know if I fully understand butterbeer. It's like non-alcoholic for humans, but for elves, I guess it is, or the alcohol content is like too high for their system.
Yeah, I was confused about that because I didn't think that butterbeer was alcoholic at all. But I guess just somehow it affects house elves, like you're saying, like it doesn't affect humans.
Yeah, there's got to be like some alcohol in it, but I guess it's so low that it doesn't matter to kids, but then like or there's something about the biology of elves that makes it strong for them. I don't know. Or if you drink enough. But yeah, so Winky is drinking and she works in the kitchens and then Dobby is basically like full-time. Dobby has a full-time job and a full-time caregiver to Winky. He cares for her. Like the other house elves are just kind of embarrassed by her and dismiss her, but Dobby takes care of her. He takes her to the room of requirement for her recovery periods.
He's so caring. Also, why do the house elves care that she's drinking? She's not getting paid. This
That's
is
true.
volunteer work. She's getting housing and food, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you went to go volunteer at, let's say it's a food donation center and you're like sorting food and then there was someone there that was drinking and like heavily boozed up, would you judge them?
Oh, I would. Yeah, you're right.
And I think it's the house elf thing too, where they're so determined to work. They're supposed to love working. Like to them, working is like fun. The trio, though, Harry, Ron, and Hermione find her working in the kitchens, and they talk to her. They go and visit her and Dobby in the kitchens a couple times. I think it's twice they go throughout the story of the fourth book, and they even ask Winky while they're there in the kitchens. They're like, "Oh, Mr. Crouch isn't showing up for his judging duties. Do you think like maybe where he would be?" And she's just like, "Oh, like he can't do it without me." And again, like she's a free elf. She's not bound, but she decides after she's free not to reveal any of Crouch's secrets.
Ah, that's interesting.
She's so very
I
faithful to the
know.
Crouch family.
Yeah, forever loyal.
Then after the last Triwizard Tournament task, this is where Mad Eye Moody / Junior are, make an attempt basically to kill Harry. And, he gets caught and Dumbledore reveals him to be Barty Crouch Junior. And Dumbledore has, I think it was Snape or McGonagall, one of the two goes and gets Winky to be questioned and she gets brought up. And so she's there to witness everything that goes down with Junior's whole explanation of like what's been happening. And he is the one that reveals all of this backstory. She never, I went back and looked back. She never admits to anything. She never reveals any of the secrets. He's the one that reveals it under Veritaserum. Winky was gonna go to her grave without revealing the Crouch secrets.
I'm sure she has hundreds of years of secrets that she's holding on to.
Yes, like not even these ones that we know about, but there's like what else has this family done to stay
I
a powerful
know.
ministry family, right?
Yeah.
During this, exposition of all of the things that happened, Junior also reveals that he killed his father. And she's obviously very bothered by that information and is very sad. And then she also witnesses Junior getting the Dementor's kiss later when Fudge brings the Dementor up. So she has a very, very traumatic, her story just goes downhill, downhill, downhill. But I guess a good thing is Madame Pomfrey cares for her and helps her kind of recover along with Dobby after all of this stuff goes down. And later she decides to fight in the Battle of Hogwarts. So she I don't know, like it seems like she never really is taking a side on all of this. So I don't know if like all the things she experienced made her against Voldemort.
I don't know. That's a good question. Because, like, she comes from a family of very corrupt people, so that is really interesting to me that she would fight in it.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Crouch was always very much against Voldemort and used to be in charge of the Auror office and was the one that let Aurors use unforgivable curses against Death Eaters. He puts his own son in prison when he's supposed to be a Death Eater. So obviously, and she obviously loves Mr. Crouch. And I wonder that she maybe blames Voldemort for everything that happened with Junior. Like she thinks that he was a good guy that just got like led down the wrong path.
Yeah, that's a good theory actually, because I would think that she would never really hold Junior responsible for anything, that she would always think that he was a victim.
I think that too. I think she saw him as a victim, which, to be fair, I do think he's a victim of his father's treatment and the stuff that his father did, like keeping him imperious and everything, is wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's a victim overall. Like I think he willingly joined Voldemort. He willingly went back to Voldemort and helped him come back to power and tried to kill Harry. Like I think he did everything else that he was doing when he wasn't imperious was of his own volition, I feel. And I feel like he was really a bad person as well. I think both of them were bad people in their own way.
Oh, I agree. I think just the status quo was that the whole family coddled Junior. So I think that she definitely fell in line with that because that was the expectation.
Yeah. And I think she had some real love for him. She obviously cared for him for years and years and years, like throughout his childhood and then back after he got out of Azkaban. So, and, like lobbied for Mr. Crouch to reward him. So, yeah, the coddling came from the mother, the coddling came from Winky.
I mean, even from his dad, like I know his dad was harsh, but he let him get out of prison, like let him not really face consequences.
That's true. Yeah. And let him go to the Quidditch World Cup, which
Hmm.
like he blames Winky for that, but I'm kind of like, I mean, you were part of this. Like
Yeah.
all three of them are to blame for many, many things happening.
Oh, yes.
And then Winky, after the Battle of Hogwarts, she, I guess, still struggled with her butterbeer addiction, but it showed some improvement. And I'm hoping that she was able to make friends with the other house elves after Dobby died.
Yeah, I hope so too. I feel like the point of Winky's character is that I don't know if this is the correct phrase, but she's a cautionary tale. She is the worst of what can happen to a house elf and just kind of points out how unjust it is, that they have to be tied to a family, that that they're slaves, really.
You bring up a good point. I think that's very well said. And my question is, I don't understand how house elves. So the ministry has this department of, the control and regulation of magical creatures, but like in Winky's case, for example, I don't understand how she can be held responsible by a court of law for her actions when, or any other house elf, when your master commands you to do illicit activity.
Yeah, I think it was just unjust. I think that things just like justice isn't served equally.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of didn't really matter. Like logic didn't really matter.
Yeah, and her like all of her like on the ministry's part and like the dealing of house elves doesn't really make sense. And then Winky's behavior to me is confusing. Like one of the biggest points I have about Winky is when the trio questions her about her master's whereabouts, she still doesn't tell, and she doesn't tell Dumbledore. Like when she finds out that her master is missing, and maybe alcohol is to blame, and she's not like totally with it when she hears this information. But it's kind of like revealing your master's secrets could be the difference between life and death for him. Like he's missing. Like now is kind of the time to like speak up, and she still doesn't do so.
Keeping secrets is one of the most important things that house elves feel they have to do, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like they're supposed to follow their master's commands and they're supposed to keep their secrets. But
Hmm.
she willy-nilly is like, "Oh yeah, Ludo Bagman's a bad wizard. My master doesn't like him." And it's like that's kind of a secret.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah.
did you have a favorite quote or moment from Winky?
Yes. So this quote is about Dobby. She said, this is, I think, when we first are introduced to Winky, I believe. She said, freedom is going to Dobby's head, sir. Ideas above his station, sir. Can't get another position, sir. I think she says this to Harry.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this is interesting because it's very revealing of kind of, I'm sure how a lot of house elves think that Dobby kind of he changed the mold and he did something kind of different that house elves aren't usually doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that really challenged her worldview and her idea of what a house elf does. And I just think that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's like when Troy Bolton decided to take up singing, and then his whole high school sang a song about sticking to the status quo.
That was crazy. Yes, that's exactly it. This is just High School Musical.
It is. Dobby is Troy Bolton. Winky is like the one, whatever. I forget what his name is.
Corbin Blue.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yes,
the actor.
yes.
Yeah, whatever his character. I forget what his character's name is. Where he's like, no, like you have to play basketball and nothing else. Like
Yes.
sing. You want to sing and play basketball? Crazy. Yeah, I have a hard time with Winky. I didn't have a favorite quote or favorite moment because for me, she's just like very tragic, and her actions are really sad and a little bit frustrating. But I will say, I guess the most commendable thing about her is her loyalty. Like she is loyal to a fault. She's willing to forgive these terrible actions from her masters. Maybe that's a house elf thing, maybe that's a Winky thing, but I guess that's a commendable trait.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some differences among house elves just because Dobby didn't have all those characteristics. He had some like uniqueness to him. So I think it is partially attributed to just who she is as a house elf.
Yeah. We can talk about her look a little bit. So there is an illustration in the main books, like as a chapter header, that we get a good picture of her. And I always liked this picture. I don't know why. I just always liked being able to see what she looked like. And I just thought she's adorable. Like she's got these like this little black like bob, and she's got big eyes. And she's just like a little cutie pie house elf. There's the picture shows her being a little bit intoxicated with a lot of bottles, but she still looks cute. You know, she's got the bloodshot eyes a little bit now that I'm looking at it.
I know she's very cute. It just kind of shows how she's a little bit helpless.
Yeah. And she's got the little like button nose. She definitely looks different than Dobby. Let me see. Her description. So she's described in the books as having long bat-like ears, enormous dark brown eyes, which are unlike Dobby's because their Dobby's are green, and a nose the exact size and shape of a large tomato.
It does look very much like a tomato.
Yeah. And then I found some other like fan illustrations of her that are kind of cute. Some of them like give more of the bat like longer ears. A lot of little cute pictures with like her big nose.
Mhm.
And the illustrated book by Jim Kay has her. She looks a lot different. She looks like really rough in his picture of her. And her ears look super long, and she's just kind of
Yeah.
like holding a bottle of butterbeer. She's kind of like drinking, drooling.
She looks scary. She does not look cute in that illustration.
Yeah, the Jim K books illustrations are cool, but they're also like I feel like he makes people look much creepier.
Yeah.
Should we talk about some theories?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, one fan theory, is that house elves are bound to property rather than masters, i.e., like the Crouch household or Hogwarts castle or 12 Grimmauld Place. So, not really like a family or a family member, but like the physical location.
So, what's the reason that that's a theory, though? Like, what makes people think that?
I'm honestly kind of confused too about this. I think it's because we know the creature is kind of tied to Grimmauld Place. Because like when Harry inherits Grimmauld Place from Sirius, he then also inherits Creature.
Mhm.
Creature doesn't end up passing to Bellatrix or Narcissa or another Black. Like Creature ends up going to him when he gets the house.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. Also, it would kind of add up because they're definitely seen as property, so it would make sense that they're lumped in with the other property.
It's like they're an asset, yeah. But
Yes.
in like Hogwarts Castle, the headmaster's changing all the time. So that's not following a bloodline at all. But also like I guess it's just kind of confusing, like what if you moved? Or what about family members that live in different places? Like Junior, when he grows up and becomes an adult, or I guess this doesn't really happen because he's like 17 when he goes to jail. But let's say a house elf is serving a family, and then the child grows up and goes and moves somewhere else. Would they then go to the child, or because the child isn't living in that house, they would stay with like wherever the house goes?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer. When they buy the new house, they get added on to the documents.
I guess so. I mean, clearly, I think like the best example of this is the fact that Creature goes to Harry when Harry inherits the house. That would be the biggest indicator. I think that they're following a
Oh,
property, not so
yeah.
much a family.
Yeah.
And then another question or theory thing we can discuss is, how did Winky and Dobby know each other? Because at the Quidditch World Cup, before Winky is free, she says that she knows Dobby. So how do they know each other?
For some reason, I think s- it's just some magical thing where they all the house elves know each other. I don't know why I think that, but I just think they inherently do. But the thing that maybe would make sense is that the Crouches probably crossed paths with the Malfoys when they had Dobby. So if there was any logical explanation, I think that would be it. But I don't know why. I just think all the house elves magically know each other.
Yeah, like you're saying, like they're just born and they're like, oh, there's Dobby living in wherever. Like,
Yeah, some I don't know. There's some telepathy, some telekinetic communication or something.
okay, yeah. Yeah, my theory would be kind of more what you were saying with your second thing, with that the Malfoys and the Crouches are both well-to-do families. I imagine that people like Crouch who are trying to move up in the ministry would be having like house parties and entertaining people, dinner parties. The Malfoys are probably doing the same just because they're like loaded and well connected. They might go to the same charity events, everything. And then I would think sometimes you bring your house elf along, or like we know that Malfoy brings Dobby to other places sometimes with him. So like maybe there was a party at the Crouches and Winky's working the party, and then Malfoy brings Dobby and Dobby like goes in the kitchens, and then they kind of like meet that way.
Yeah, I would think in general that all the families that have house elves would probably cross paths in general.
Yeah. Yeah, the like what they call the sacred 28 pureblood families, all the purebloods, and the wizarding community in general seems like it's very small, like everyone knows everybody. So you would think they would cross paths.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's all I had for Winky. Did you have anything else on Winky?
No, I didn't. Just that her story is very tragic, and I hope she got better.
I hope so too. I really do.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. Next week, we will be discussing Lee Jordan's radio show. Until then, happy reading, happy listening, and may you never have too much butterbeer.